Hey, welcome back. I'm Courtney and this is The Accounting Struggle, where we speak about our struggles with accounting openly and honestly. We do not run from them. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a life update. It's been 1 year since I quit my full-time job to pursue my business full-time. And I just want to kind of give an update for what it's like a year later and what my perspective is like, what has changed, and overall life update. I've been away. First of all, if you're new here, thank you so much for joining. If you're returning, oh my god, it has been almost a full year since my last video. Reason being is because I had a baby. Here's the baby. The reason I stopped making videos is because I was pregnant and I couldn't breathe. I was out of breath and it would not make for a good video, so I literally just stopped recording altogether. I was so tired, but literally I couldn't breathe. It was like on the Olympics when the people come up to you and interview you right after you finish, like on the racetrack. That was how I sound, and I didn't even have to be running. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna just take a break. And then after I had him in January. His name is Milo, and it was tax season. It was a whirlwind. Just didn't have time to prioritize recording, so it's been a lot, but I am back and I'm so glad that y'all haven't given up on me. I certainly have not forgotten about the Accounting Struggle family, and I'm just so grateful that y'all are still here. But without further ado, I'm not going to take up too much time. So I was going to try and look a little bit more presentable and wait until he was asleep, but it's just never going to happen at this point. And I recognize that if I do not record this video right now, it is just not going to get recorded. So here we are. I'm going to start with some questions that I put together that I think are the most interesting things that people will probably want to know, or the things that people are like, hey, how is this going? Some of the comments that I've gotten on my last video. So I did a video this time last year. For those of you who do not know, I started my career in public accounting and then I transitioned into corporate accounting. I worked for a large insurance company, and I did that from 2019 until 2021. So I was working in investment accounting, and I did that, and then I decided, you know what, I really need to go ahead and just work in my business full time. I own and operate a virtual accounting practice called Arrington Solutions, where I help social media influencers and small business entrepreneurs with their accounting. And so I needed to focus on that. So I went to my boss. I gave him this long spiel about like how my heart just isn't in this and I really want to focus on my business. It's gotten to be too difficult to do both. I did that on a Friday. Now here's what I did not put in the last video is I found out the following Monday that I was pregnant, and by then it was like too late. I had already quit my job, but I already turned in my resignation letter. I could have gone back and said, hey, can I use y'all for convenience until my baby is born, but I just didn't do it. And so one of the questions I think people would want to know is, what would I do differently? So if I could go back, one thing that I would have done differently, I still would have quit. I feel like it was definitely still time to make the transition into working in my business full time because of the needs that my clients had. I felt like a lot of times they would be emailing me and I couldn't address their issues fast enough because I was at work, just things like that. So it needed to still happen, but if I knew that I was pregnant, I would have worked until my maternity leave and then just decide to leave and not come back from my maternity leave. The reason why I would have done it that way is because healthcare is really, really expensive. Plain and simple. That is my truth. I'm not here to tell y'all anything but what God loves, and that's the truth. I don't want to be paying $400 and something a month just for me when I could be paying like $80 a check for me and my husband. That's literally what the difference was like. So I had, pregnancy is considered a pre-existing condition in this country, so I had to get marketplace insurance, and it was just really, really expensive. And if I could have stayed and just not done that, I would have done that. I would have just toughed it out and worked throughout my pregnancy. Even though I was extremely fatigued, I would have made it work because I was still working from home. So that was one thing that I would have done differently. Other than that, yes, I would have still quit. So the main thing is just the timing of it all. I would have changed that and I would have stayed a little bit longer in my role. Had I known I was pregnant, I would have prolonged, and then I just would have started working full-time in my business this year. What is the hardest part about working for yourself? One of the things that I find to be really beneficial about having a job where you work for someone else, especially like a corporate structure, is having the being held accountable in a way that is more structured and routine. So we have, 90-day evaluations or half yearly, annual, evaluations and things where we have to sit down and we have certain metrics that we have to meet. And even though, of course, as an individual, I will set goals for myself and I will check in with myself to see how I'm doing, it's different when you have someone putting it on your calendar saying, okay, it's, we're at the 6-year mark. Here's the things you said you wanted to accomplish by now. What do you want to do for 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And just having those conversations, I really like that about having a job. And I like the structure of it, and I like having the specific metrics. Whereas now I have to come up with goals that are sometimes maybe skewed by other things that I see other people who may not actually be my peers. I think they're my peers, but they may not actually be my peers. I'm measuring myself against their success sometimes, and that can put me in a position where I'm like, oh no, I'm not successful enough, when it's really like I'm comparing myself to Jackie Ina or somebody. Are you gonna cooperate? Thank you. So so that's one thing that I really miss about, or that's one of the things that's difficult. The second thing is it's so hard to work with a child. It's next to impossible. When I started tax season, he was born in January, late January, so I had to hit the ground running because February is tax season, and I couldn't just simply sit it out because my business is so new. I didn't want to send my clients off to somewhere else and just never see them again. So it's really been difficult. It was a lesson learned. I was so naive about how it would go, and I thought it was going to be a lot smoother and that he would just sleep all day and be an angel, and he did sleep all day if you're holding him. So it was just a lot more difficult than I anticipated. So working for myself and not having like a structured, I have to report to work from this time to this time, kind of gave me the idea that I didn't need childcare. Also, he was way too new for me to put him in some type of daycare system. He was literally just born. So working from home with a newborn, that has definitely been the most challenging thing about running a business, and just managing being a new mom and a new business owner at the same time. I've cried many nights. Cried just as much as the baby has cried, actually. But it's been great because it's forcing me to literally just boss up in certain areas. It's forcing me to address certain things that I may have been more lackadaisical about in my corporate days. Some of the things that I maybe haven't been assertive enough with and things like that, it forces me, because I work for myself, it forces me to really address those areas. And I've put in a lot of time with coaching, getting into really good courses that help me learn certain things. I took Grindaholics Anonymous by a woman named Tatiana O'Hara, which I highly recommend if you're a business owner. She teaches you how to get out of the weeds and stop being, stop grinding and working and like a crazy person, and really start running your business from an executive standpoint. And so I did take the time to really do that type of work so that I could be able to run a business successfully while still being a new mom, and having no idea what I'm doing on either end, for real. So that's been difficult but rewarding at the same time. What do I miss most about being in corporate? I mean, people will say like, oh, do you miss, having a job? You'll hear some people on the internet tell you like, I'll never go back to having a job. Like, I'll never go back to a 9-to-5. I don't like nobody telling me what to do. I'm my own boss. If I want to go to Jamaica tomorrow, I can. That's them. I cannot go to Jamaica tomorrow either way. I don't run my business from the standpoint where I could just pick up and be that spontaneous the next day. And while you do have the flexibility to manage your own schedule and that sort of thing, it is a blessing, but at the same time, your business still holds you to certain, schedules and things like that. So for me, it was never like, I got to get out of this 9-to-5. I got to get out of this corporate. I don't like nobody telling me what to do. I didn't mind having the structure and the guidance. I really enjoyed having people who knew more than me, had more experience. I enjoyed having them to lean on. So I actually miss that. I miss having coworkers, and all in all, I miss being a corporate baddie. I miss, having the whole like working towards your promotion, and did you get promoted, and who got promoted with you, and like all of that stuff that grind of like proving yourself and working hard and meeting certain goals. Of course I still can meet goals in my business, and I do get excited about it, but there's no big celebration in the same way that there was when I was working for someone. There is no like email that goes out to all the department that says congratulations to so and so who just accepted the position as this and this. I mean, I don't have anybody to email that to. So that kind of stuff, it's little things, but I enjoyed that about working in a corporate setting. I enjoyed, like I said, the campus activities, even though in COVID all of that kind of stopped. But I enjoyed there being like, oh, the food trucks are here, they're out on the, you know, just little stuff like that. Having a team to work with in person, not everything being so virtual and on Zoom. I really miss having coworkers and people that I worked with in person. And all in all, the thing that I miss the most is having other people to lean on and bounce ideas off of, because now I'm the most senior person in the company, and that's a totally different vibe and experience than it was when I worked in corporate. I really enjoyed having superiors. And a lot of people don't like that, but I enjoyed having that. And now I'm the superior, and it's very strange, but we're enjoying it and we're getting used to it. But it was always nice to have, like, you know, people with 30 years of experience to be like, what do you think about this? And then not have to be like me just bothering my uncle or somebody who is also in accounting. So let's see. So any advice I would give to someone who's looking to make a transition that's similar, right now what I've seen the trend in 2020, 2021, the trend was everyone was leaving their jobs, their 9-to-5s. It was the great resignation. People are like, we're done, we're burnt out, we can't take it. And I feel like a lot of people started businesses only to realize they didn't want to be entrepreneurs. They don't like owning their own business. You know, people's PPP money has dried up. Some of the scammers, their money has dried up, and people are going back to work. They might not be talking about it as much, but I notice it. Even with some of the clients that I serve in their business, they're not, I mean, some of them are coaches and things like that, and they're recognizing that a lot of their clients who they were teaching them how to run a business and all these types of things, those people are going back to work, and it's impacting their business. So I am noticing a little bit of people trickling back into the office and trickling back into work, which is fine. I think that my advice would be, do what makes sense for you. There is nothing wrong with having a regular traditional job. In fact, having a job relieves you of a lot of stress. Like, you don't have to worry about well, it's not, you don't have to ever know what's in the payroll account. That's one. So you can just think, okay, my check is gonna clear. It may not, but depending on the company you work for, you can be rest assured, like, you're good. You don't have to go out and get the clients. Depending on the type of work you do, you don't have to be the one to go out and have the pressure of making the business stay afloat. All of that is not on you. Your role might just be your role. And I think that that's something that, depending on your personality type, can be seen as a pro. And you just have to worry about just your job. You don't have to worry about the whole entire company. And so I think that those are things that you really should consider if you're making the transition and you want to work for yourself full-time. Maybe you want to be a content creator full-time or something like that. You really need to be looking at what all it entails. If you are going to just focus on content creation, and you're gonna have a team who does your editing, you're gonna have someone who's your administrative assistant or a virtual assistant who, you know, does your booking, a manager, all of those things. If you're gonna have a whole team, then great. But if you're not, and it's all gonna be on you, you really need to sit and think about what that would look like on a day-to-day. Is it affordable? Is it sustainable beyond 1 to 2 years? I chose accounting as my full-time business because I knew that that was something that I was going to be doing anyway. Now, had I chose something that was a little more trendy, that maybe wasn't sustainable, I probably would be back on my way to work again right now, back into a corporate setting. So I think you really need to consider what it is you're going to be doing to replace this job, which is what I said in my original video. But the other thing is, you really need to consider the things that you're giving up and if you can afford, you have to factor that into your cost. So like I talked about the cost of healthcare a lot, but also the cost of daycare, the cost if you have children or plan to have children, the cost of not having a maternity leave if you're going to work for yourself, funding your retirement yourself. All of these things need to be factored into. You don't just look at the salary that you're not going to have anymore. You need to factor in all of your compensation, anything that was a benefit that you were getting that you no longer will be eligible for. You need to be looking at all of that and saying, do I have enough, runway to make me feel comfortable? Because the thing is that when I quit my job in 2021, it was pre-inflation. Gas was still like $2 and change. You can go to the bar and you can get chicken wings for like a reasonable price. Now they're like $30 for an 8-piece. Everything is expensive. Groceries, everything is literally 3 or 4 times what it was last year because of inflation, and we're headed into a recession. So I think you need to really do the math on the numbers and make sure you're comfortable before you make a transition that will put you in a bad position. Because like I said, you don't want to get to a place in your business where you are desperate and having to take on the type of clients that you don't want to take on. Or if you are in the content creation space, you don't want to be doing, working for brands you don't want to work for, or feel doing free work just for exposure, that kind of stuff. You really want to get to a place where you're comfortable. And so adding the pressure of needing the money, that's just too much. So make sure you're saving, make sure you're really doing the math and considering all the pieces, like everything that you are leaving on the table when you leave that corporate job or that 9-to-5. Do figure out how much it's all going to cost, not just your actual hourly compensation, but think about your full benefits package. Would I ever go back to working for someone else now having worked for myself? Never say never, but it is not in my short-term plans. And the reasons have nothing to do with, I don't want to have a boss and blah, 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 and I want to go to Jamaica tomorrow and all that. But it just better aligns with my life and the life that I desire to live, to run my own business. And my business is in such an early stage. I've only been running it a couple of years now that I just have to see it through and see where it goes. I have a lot of goals and things that I've set out to accomplish, and I want to see them through. So definitely not something that I plan on doing short term, but if there was an opportunity and it made sense for me and for my family later down the road, I'm definitely not opposed to it, because I always enjoyed having a 9-to-5. I always enjoyed working with other people. Water cooler conversations, all of that's always been my jam. So it's definitely not absolutely not, but I just don't really see it happening anytime soon. So with that, yeah, that's it. Those are the questions. I have no regrets. I definitely don't regret my decision. I feel like I've made the right decision, but the timing of it, had I known everything, looking back, there are some things I would have done differently. Excuse me. But overall, I'm so happy with my decision. When I was pregnant, there was just so much going on in my life personally. I was so exhausted. It was no way I could have really been successful in working at my job and still building my business on the side. One would have had to go. And I feel like I made the right decision, and I'm in a great position to be able to continue building my business. And the thing that I appreciate most about the decision that I made to work for myself is that I can be home with my child full time. And I know that I would have had to, go back to work eventually and do the daycare thing, and I've always wanted to be home for at least the first year with my child. Even though it is so hard, especially the more wiggly he gets and the more whiny he is, it gets more and more difficult to balance, but it's all worth it. And excuse me, this is my moment. Thank you. It just works out for me this way, and I know that I wouldn't really have the space to do this in a full-time role at someone's corporation. So I'm really happy with my decision. Things are still going well in the business. I still am growing and learning as things go on, but I'm just very grateful to be in the space that I'm in. So I just wanted to provide this update. I definitely still plan on making more content. It's just a struggle so bad to find the balance between running the business, being a mom, and not dying, like just trying to keep my life together, because those two things are very intense as it is. So trying to find time for the accounting struggle is, it's definitely hard, but it is a priority to me. It just isn't something that I can prioritize over bath time or something like that. So but yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I know it was short and sweet. I have a little fiddly little baby right here who wants this to be about him so bad. It's his nap time. But anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. I'm really trying to get my subscribers to 10,000 by the end of the year. So if you like more accounting content, or just, you know, day-to-day vlogs, if you want some mom content, I'm happy to give you that as well. Just let me know in the comments what you want to see more of. It's been so long that I don't even know specifically what y'all want to know anymore. So just let me know in the comments what you're thinking, what you want to see more of. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye. Say bye.